welcome once more again. We are glad you have joined us. Today we are looking at how to preserve the seeds so that you have seeds for your next growing season. But before we get to that, we would like to read something from the Bible. The other thing that we are going to be looking at is how to grow herbs like rosemary as well as celery. When you go to YouTube, you'll be told that celery is one of the hardest plants that you can grow. But I'm going to share with you the few tips that I've used to grow celery and even enable it to go to the time of bloating, of potting, or of yielding seeds, so that you can harvest them and then you can keep them for yourself. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of how to preserve the seeds and how you grow celery and rosemary, we are going to read something that is quite interesting. Now, we find it Genesis chapter 1, verse 29. The Bible tells us that in the book of Genesis, this is where we find almost everything about our beginning. You want to know how men came into existence, you just need to go to Genesis. You want to know about marriage, you just need to go to Genesis. You want to know about, how God created our planet and what was created on what day, you just need to go to Genesis. So if you want to know about our food, what God has actually given us for food, we just need to get to Genesis. So verse 29 of Genesis chapter 1 tells us that, and God said, "Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is a fruit of tree yielding the seed. To you it shall be for meat." Here we are told that God is saying every fruit bearing seed. I mean, you are to have this for food, and not only that, but also to have herbs. We have heard there are herbs which are mentioned in here. So this is why today we are going to talk about how you preserve your seed from your harvest. And this is very important because your growing season, your planting depends on the seeds that you are having. Now, if you have been checking, if you look at the UN Sustainable Development Goals for 2030, one of the objectives is that they need to have seeds which can be drought resistant, which can actually endure harsh environment. This is what they want to achieve. And they are talking about engineered seeds or genetically modified seeds. This may sound good because they, when you look at one angle to say these are seeds which can endure harsh weather like hot climates and all that. But the truth is that this kind of seeds, unfortunately, you cannot be able to grow anything from them after you've harvested them. That's point number one. And health-wise, they are also not good for consumption, unfit for human consumption, because they are genetically engineered. And so this is why it's important to preserve as much as possible our own seeds that we have yielded from our own natural crops that we grow. So it is very, very crucial that we do that. And it is also important that we know how to preserve them, because at the end of the day, you have crises like the weevil, especially for the maize. As you can see, I have maize on my table. So this maize was just removed from the corn today. And this one was removed a week or 2 weeks back. But if you check closely underneath, you can see already forming powder. In other words, the weevils, they are starting to form and they're starting to eat the maize. So now we need to preserve it to make sure that we still keep it intact. So we have the maize here. Now I have on my table also other things that I've tried to preserve, and it has proved that they actually do take longer on that with that method that I've tried to use. This is a simple method that you can use. All right, for me here, for example, you have sorghum. This sorghum I got them in January, December last year at home when we were planting, that time of planting season. So I planted my sorghum, and this was the remaining of what was left after I planted. So I said, let me try and preserve them. What method did I try to use? I just used a simple ash. When you make your firewood at the village, especially firewood such as mopani that really produce a lot of ashes. So I used that. I took the ash from from our fireplace, and then I put it in this sorghum. And you can see there is no weevil inside there. They have been here. I mean, they've been there since January when I brought them here, and they are still in good shape. They are still intact. There's no weevil inside there. And I've seen it working. And also I've tried it on my wheat. Okay, this is still sorghum as well, so it's the same sorghum as this one. So I actually prepared them and put them at the same time when I was preserving them. Right, so with me here, I've also tried to see how long that can go with the ash, and I've seen it actually helped, because this is wheat, right? This wheat I got it some 2-3 years back. And unfortunately, I splitted the wheat into two, and the other wheat, I kept it on different plastic, and unfortunately the one which I did not put the ash, it got withered to powder, and so it was unfit for use anymore. But this one, which I've actually, preserved, and I've added, ash in it, they are still fine, and they are still in good position to germinate. In fact, I've planted some, in my garden. So you can actually see that this has been here for almost 3 years now. And since I've added ash to them, they're still fine, they're still intact, and I can still grow them. They can still germinate as I've said. So of course, the texture, or your seeds will determine if they need to be added ash to it in order to preserve them or not. Now you realize that there are other seeds which you don't really need to add ash, because of the nature of how they are, their makeup. Like for example, I have with me here, this is soya beans. Now these soya beans, I've kept them for quite some time now. They were for last year, but you can see they don't really suffer from weevil, because the reason is that their texture, it's very hard for weevils to drill through. So they don't really need ash because they are very hard. They are like also the round nuts, which is the peas, the efukwa, that our Oshuambo brothers, they call them efukwa, and we call them litu in our language and all that. So they don't really need ash. You don't really need to add ash to them, right? So you can see this is why these were not added ash, because the weevil doesn't have effect on them. But things like the wheat, things like the maize, things like the millet and the sorghum, they are easily weaved, drilled in by the weevil. All right, so with me here I have my peanuts that we're gonna add ash today, because we want to preserve them for the next time of growing season. Yeah, I have noted this one, they are easily drilled in, because their texture, or their surface area is not so hard as the peas and the soya beans. So the weevil can actually drill in them, and then the next thing, you only have holes over them, so you'll not be able to make use of them. I've seen some of my peanuts, actually they've been drilled in, and they are of no use now. So at the end of the day, we need to preserve something for for the next growing season. So these were not harvested this year. This has been here for almost a year. So you can actually see these are the ones. These are the ones from which we took those ones that we peeled off. So we just peeled off some of them from here. So these have been for last year. They've been here for a year already. So I noted that when they're in their peels, they stay longer, but sometimes they get thin, because they have been there for long. So yeah, the sooner that you remove them from the shells, you need to keep them into the ash. You need to add some ash into them so that you can preserve them, if you want to preserve them for the next growing season. So this is what we're gonna be doing. All right, so I'm gonna put the peanuts in here in the plastic, like I've done with the rest of the seeds that I'm trying to preserve. And of course I have my ash here. This is my ash that I've collected sometime back when I went to the village. Yeah, you can actually get your ash as well. Okay, that's just one method that you can preserve. Okay, there's another method that other people may use. The modern one, I would say, some they prefer to keep them in the refrigerator. Okay, that is fine if you are having a refrigerator, but I'm doing this for the for somebody that who might be in the village and they don't have a refrigerator, and we know that eventually we will have to give up our property and all that, as the spirit of prophecy tells us, that eventually we'll have to move from city and all that. So we need to be able to preserve our seeds without having to need a fridge and all that. So what we're gonna be doing now, this is what we will do. I've just put them in the plastic. Okay, I hope you can be able to see. Okay, so I just need to put a little bit of the ash. There's a little bit of some charcoal in there, so I'm trying to remove. So, and then we need to check it. Okay, just to allow the ash to go under. Okay, so you can see now that we have our ash. Okay, if you think it's not enough, you can still add a little bit. It's fine even if you put the charcoal, because anyway you are doing this for planting, not for eating. And even for eating, I'm also working on a method where I can preserve my harvest, like the sorghum, as well as the maize that I have harvested. I'm still experimenting on it and hope it will work as it has worked on where you build a barn, and after you've built a barn, you put a plastic under, and then you put ash underneath, a cool ash, and then you put your sorghum, you put your maize there. Of course, you don't need to thresh them. You need to leave them with their combs like that, with their head cones and with their hairs and like that. So it becomes easier for you when you want to, to take them out. So you just leave them and then put the ash on top again, sprinkle, and just turning it and leave it there. And you can actually cover the barn with the plastic to prevent it from rain and all that if it happens to rain. So I'm still working on that, and hopefully it will work. But I believe it will work because I've seen that the ash actually works. By the grace of God, we have seen that it does work on this simple trial that we've done. So yeah, that's another method. So another method that you can preserve. So now we have added our ash, and that's it. So from here we're gonna tie it around, and then we leave it like that, the rest like the way we did with the rest. Okay, we keep it like that. So we're gonna do the same with maize. Of course, this is some of the maize that I have harvested. Remember, this one is already spoiled because it's already weevilled in, and we don't need to preserve this, it's already out. So this one is still fine. I'm still looking for the best bigger maize. Yeah, but for now I need to keep this, I mean, just in case I don't get a bigger maize that I'm looking for, right? So here we will put also inside here, sorry, okay, there we go. Okay, and then we do that, and then we're also going to add some ash, right, the same way that we did. So when the planting season comes, really you don't have to clean the maize. After all, they are going to the ground, right? So you don't have to clean the maize, remove some shackles. So you just need to just put it in the ground. It will still come out, and yeah, you still have your plant growing. So you need just to shake it a little bit. The reason you are shaking it to allow the ash to get it to the bottom, because if it's not fully mixed up and it goes everywhere, the weevil might just come up and start eating your seed. Okay, so now we are fine, we are sorted, and then we have our maize. Okay, then we just tie it. Okay, and then this is fine. So this will keep our maize from being weevilled. All right. Now, the other method, apart from what I'm doing now, the other method that you can use, which I've seen the olden days that our grandmothers would use, is they, instead of doing what I'm doing now, they would take, let's say, the head of the sorghum or the millets or the maize, and then, at the village, people, they have a kitchen where they cook on fire, but there's a small head that they're cooking under, and so they would tie them up in that head. Now, because of the smoke, because of the heat, they are preserved, so there's no weevil that's working on their crops. So at the end of the day, they are kept until the time for growing. So that's another method that you can use. So for now, this is what I want to show you. Now let's get to the garden, and we're going to be looking at how you can actually grow your own celery. You can actually grow your own rosemary, which was believed to be difficult to grow, but with God's grace, by God's grace, we have managed to grow plenty of celeries, and we have multiplied them, and now we have plenty of it. So I want to share with you that. So let's move to the garden. All right, we are here now in the garden. I'm going to show you how you plant some herbs. But before we get into how you plant the herbs, I think it's very important to understand how you're going to be using these herbs. And I think this is where most the challenge people face the challenges, because they don't really understand, why should I be growing this, and why do I need it in my garden? Why do I know about this? I think this is the whole purpose of this, to share with you, to say this is why you need to have this type of herb and how it can help you when you find yourself at countryside, and how you're going to be using it. Okay, so we have with me here, this is a celery, this is rosemary. This rosemary is about 8 to 9 months now old. All right, so it was propagated, in other words, we simply cut a branch from one rosemary, and then we actually planted it in the soil. Like this is a small pot where I will start up, and then once it grow a little bit, and then I move it to the next level. Once I see it's strong enough, then I move it to the next level, and then it's fully stable and it has rooted and everything like that. So now, first of all, before we go into that, we get into how we cut and how you start up. We need to understand why you need rosemary. What can you use rosemary for, right? We are told that rosemary is rich in antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds. In other words, these elements which are found in rosemary, they help you in terms of aging, in terms of preventing inflammations of organs. So taking or regular taking of rosemary, it helps your body to also to boost your immune system, and not only that, but to help improve your blood circulation. So there are many minerals and nutrients which are found in rosemary. All right, we are also taught that it improves your memory. It has natural cognitive stimulant in it. Now you might be asking yourself, the things like coffee, for example, many people, they'll say coffee, it has stimulant. Yes, coffee has a stimulant, which is caffeine, which is found there. But now the difference with coffee and rosemary is that, coffee, most of the ingredients that are there, they are pharmaceutical produced. In other words, they don't come in their natural state. So the stimulant, which is caffeine, that you find in the coffee actually has some side effects on your health, and therefore it is not recommended to take coffee. But now you find that you have natural stimulant in rosemary, which can help you in terms of memory, improving your memory and alertness. So here you find them in a natural state, which they do not have side effects on your body. So this is why this is more beneficial than if you take up coffee, for those that like taking coffee for alertness and all that. So you rather substitute your coffee with some bit of rosemary tea. And when you make rosemary tea, I would advise that instead of using sugar, you use honey, you use syrup, something that is more healthy compared to sugar, because sugar actually is another poison for the immune system and weakens your immune system. So this is what you get in the rosemary. So you can actually drink it as tea, you can actually add it to your stew, you can actually make it as a broth. The vegetable broth is when you take some leaves from rosemary, and then you take the leaves from celery, depending on the herbs that you want to mix up. So it depending also on what you want to treat, or you want to to aid in your health. So you take the celery, and then you take the rosemary leaves. You also take the parsley, which is behind me there. So you mix together, you boil, and also you add onion in it, then you create your broth. So in that regard, for example, you are trying to alleviate or to help your kidneys in functioning properly, and not only that, but also to eliminate toxins that may be building up in your kidneys as well as your liver. So you take that mixture, you boil them together in a liter of water, and then you drink that water throughout. Now, so that is how you can benefit from plants like rosemary. So they boost your immune system. Now in summer, in winter, many people, they are likely to suffer from flu, because it's cold and all that, and we are not exposed to a little bit of sun, which can help us in our health. Most of people, we are just living close to and all that. So this boosts our immune system and help our body to fight back the infection, the flu, and all that. So remember that. So it improves also in the blood circulation. So it contains potassium as well as calcium. These ingredients, they are needed for the heart and many other parts of the body. So it helps in that regard. So it helps in blood circulation. Right. So the other herb that we're going to be looking at before we get into how we grow this, we are looking at the celery. Now, by the way, if you see this celery, most of these were grown from the seeds. That is, from the seeds that I harvested previously from my other plants. And then, except for this one was not grown from the seed, but you can see how healthy it looks. It looks like almost like everyone else, but it was not grown from the seed. The same with other celery which are behind us, which you cannot see, but it's fine. You can have a look at this. So this one was grown from taking a shoot, which I'm going to show you now, which is another method of growing celery faster and even much easier for anyone who wants to start up growing the seed. All right, let's get to rosemary first and how we grow before we get to celery. Okay, so like I said, what we did, I had a plant which I bought from the nursery. So that plant, what I did is just to cut. Okay, you can see like this one is a long branch already. So if I want to propagate it, I just need to cut, maybe probably here, right? I just need to cut here, and then I need to clean up the lower part, which is gonna go in the soil, and then from there I'm going to put it in the soil. Now remember, it doesn't have roots yet. I don't use the root hormones things and all that. I prefer to do it naturally, right? So you need to cut as many stems as you need, because I've realized that out of 10, 2 survived, right? Like what you are seeing there, I had out of 6, 2 was supposed to survive, but I delayed in bringing them out, and so 1 died. I mean 1 died and 2 are still surviving, this one and the other one. So we hope the other one will survive, but this one stands a good chance of surviving, right? So once you cut it, you take out your cutting, then you prune it down here by removing the lower parts, removing the leaves which are there. For now, I'm not planning to do the cutting now. I'm gonna do the cutting probably later on the other plant, because this one I want it to grow longer, so I don't want to cut it this one. So I have another plant which is getting old, so I want to take the branches from there and then propagate those ones, right? So you cut it here, and then after that you put it in the soil. So this is what I've been using, where I've been putting. So I put them in here, and after I water them. So you can see there is something that is underneath to catch the water, because this one was kept inside on the counter, in my kitchen counter. So I've been checking it. So you don't over water it. We don't want it to have, to have plenty of water, because it will rot. So just sprinkle a little bit and just keep it moist, and then you keep it in the shade. So it within a week or 2, you will see that those that will survive, they start showing that they remain green. They are strong. But those that shows that they're not going to survive, they start to dry out and all that. So this is what happens. So after 2 weeks, we moved it here. So I moved this one yesterday, and I put it here. So when you move it to the sun, now you don't put it directly in the sun, basically because remember, it still doesn't have roots. I checked it when I was moving from here to this side, it didn't have roots yet. So what we did was to put it there, and then when we put it outside here, we either put it between the plants, so it is shaded by the plants, like there. That's where it will be. So it receives the light, but not directly the sun. So in other words, it receives the light of the sun, but not directly the sun. So it's still protected, so it doesn't wither and everything like that. So that's how you keep it, under the shade of other plants, right? And so when this one will be ready, we transfer it to a bigger pot. So this one was planted 3 weeks back. Okay, so this one is fully fine and stable now, because now it has it is rooted. In fact, that what tells me that it's fine and doing well is the shape of the stem, where it is going, because it was branching off, going like this. When we put it here, it was bended like this, right? But as it is catching up and rooting under there, now it has picked up itself, and now it's going up. That's how this one was also. It was in the same shape. It was going like this, but then it started growing up to show that it's responding now to the sun rays, and it's stable and it's good to go. So probably in the next 7 months it will be like this again, and then we have our rosemary. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to be looking at now, I've covered the benefits of rosemary, and I think I need to cover the benefits of the celery, which you're looking at now, and before we can get on how to grow these herbs which we have showed you. So I already spoke about how you grow your rosemary, and now we're going to be looking at how you grow your celery from seed, and also from the from the shoots. So now, but before that, what are the benefits of celery? Now celery, one of the benefits is that it's a diuretic plant. In other words, it increases your urine output, which is very, very beneficial for your kidneys. Now you realize that when you have excess of water in the body, and that water doesn't come out, it leads to edema or swelling or inflammation of other parts of the body. And so the celery actually helps the kidney to eliminate excess water in the body. So in other words, it also helps in that process. As more you eliminate the waste product, which is also contained in the urine, which is the urea, ammonia, and all that, it helps you to stay healthy. So That's why it's a diuretic plant, meaning it increases your urine output. We need to be able to pass out water as much as possible, right? So that in that process, because of what it is able to do in terms of increasing your urine output, it also helps now in lowering your blood pressure, because normally when there is a little amount of water in the body, there is a little pressure that is placed on the kidney and many other parts of the body, and so because they try to retain as little water that is there. So when you take more of cereally, that pressure which is normally put on the kidney and other organs that are related in the urinary system, it is alleviated or it is reduced. So this is why this plant it's good, it's useful. It also cleanses the liver as well, right? So the other thing that we get from there, it also improves blood sugar circulation. In other words, it helps in sugar management for those that seek to make sure that their glucose level stay up to to the standard or to the tolerable level in the body. So it helps to regulate that part. So again, you see the diuretic part of it coming into play, because normally the glucose hangs around in the blood, right? For people like who are diabetic, for example, people whose receptor cells have actually clogged, and so the insulin which attached to the glucose molecules cannot penetrate to go into the cells where it is needed. It's likely to, the glucose is likely to hang around in the blood streams. And so when this plant is taken in, because it increases your urine output, it also helps in eliminating excess glucose level in the body or in the bloodstream. So that helps in regulating the glucose level in the bloodstream, right? It is an anti-inflammatory herb. It also helps in reducing inflammation of body parts in the body. Like, for example, if you have a swelling, let's say in your jaw, in your joint, due to arthritis and many other that can cause swelling, it helps to reduce the inflammation. Okay, it also aids in digestion. You realize that it is high in fiber. So when it is taken in, for example, as in salad or maybe in soup, in your vegetable stew and all that, it actually helps in digestion. It eases your digestive system. It also alkalizes the blood. Our body naturally they tend to be acidic. This is because of due to metabolism process that takes place in the blood in the body cells. And so during this metabolism process, things like uric acid and many other things are actually released in the bloodstream. So this actually acidifies our blood, and therefore the cereally helps to regulate or to maintain the neutral level of the blood. In other words, it helps to alkalize the blood, because the more alkali the blood that you have, the more healthier you're gonna be. But if your blood tends to be more acidic, you're gonna have serious issues in your health, right? So it also rich in potassium, calcium, folate, and vitamin K. It also lowers the risk of heart diseases. So it has a lot of benefits, and this is why it's important that we need to be able to eat this herb and make use of it. Like, let me put a disclaimer here. We are told we should make use of that which is beneficial judiciously. In other words, we should use it moderately. We should not abuse any substance. So you cannot go and indulge in poor appetite and then you come back and say, I'm gonna drink this herb. That is not allowed. That is not good. We should be able to use that which is good moderately and discard all that which is harmful from our table, right? So that is a disclaimer I would like to put, to say, let us not abuse things, because now we know that we can take cereally for specific things, and then we go and indulge in poor appetite, in poor lifestyle, and then we say we're going to go and drink this. That is not good, because in such regard, God is not going to listen to our prayer when we ask to say, Lord, do this, because that is going to be presumptuous prayer. You do wrong when you know it is wrong, right? So I hope you have catched up on some of the benefits of cereally. They are actually endless. The list is endless. You can go and search on it, but I just wanted to share with you those few tips. Now let's get to how you grow them. Okay, so right, like I said, this one was grown from a shoot, so it didn't come out from the seed, right? And this one, they were actually grown from from seeds. So I grew them from the seeds, right? So let me show you some of the seedlings that I have from cereally. Okay, so these were planted last week. which is a week ago and some days now. Okay, these are celery. They are doing well. So I just took the seeds. I had a celery plant somewhere which was already having seed. I had actually removed it because it had been there for a long time. So I actually took the seeds from there and I sprinkled it here. Now, like I said, when you go to YouTube, they'll tell you that they take time to grow, but these are just, they've been there in the ground for 1 week and they're already out. So what is the trick? I think the one that I bought some time back would not germinate. I think it was probably maybe part of those genetically modified seeds and they didn't grow. I tried until the whole packet finished. So this one, fortunately, I got these seedlings. I got the seedlings from which these seeds are coming from at a nursery. So I got a small tray at Ferreira Garden. Some of you are familiar with that. So I got a tray of 6 seedlings. They were small, and then I planted them. And so eventually they grew and then they went into flowering, and that's how I started knowing about the seed of celery, how they look like and all that. And then from there I harvested seed. Now I understand why in the commercial you don't find, actually you rarely find the celery seeds, because they are very tiny, just the same way that you cannot find the seeds for stevia, right? Stevia is a sweet plant like this one. This is stevia. So you can actually see now it's already, the seeds, they're already dry. I need to pick them up. I picked some of them. So you rarely find such kind of plant. The seeds for such kind of plant. So if you have a plant and then it grows into seeds, then you need to take care of that. So that's how I managed to scoop the seeds from the plants that I got from the nursery, and then they grew. So I kept those seeds, and eventually I threw the seeds back into the ground, and then eventually they grew and I transplanted, and that's what you are seeing today. This is what you have. This is what we have. Right. So I tried it again. They said, let's see if this is perfect. Is not genetically again. I tried to replant it, and then we can see we have some seedling. This will be the third from the original plant. So the original plant have died. We planted the second time, the third time. This is probably the fourth, right? So we can see that now we have the good seeds. So we allow them to grow, right? And you can see some of them fell in here. All right, this soybean is not doing well. I think it's lacking nitrogen and so yeah. Anyway, so these are some of the celery that fell in here. They just fell in here. You can see their leaves, they're a little bit bigger and different from parsley. So they fell in here and then they are now growing. Some fell somewhere there. So yeah. So at the end of the day, now we have our celery. Right. So that's another way. You get a plant from Ferreira Garden, and then you grow it, and then you allow it to go into seed. Now, I've learned that there is one factor that contributes to it going into seed much faster. These plants that you are seeing here, the one behind, this is the backyard, they take time to go into seed than the one which are at the up front. And I realized what could be the contributing factor. I realized that the front side receives much of the sun, and so many of the plants, they go into bolting stage, or they go into seed bearing because of the increase in temperature or heat, the temperature which is very high, right? So but the one which are behind, they receive the sun but only in a moderate way, so they take time to go into seed. So if you are planning to grow your plant like celery, for example, which you want now to go into seed, I would suggest that you put it where it receives plenty of sun, which is a little bit moderate hot, yeah, but as long as you keep it watered so that it doesn't dry out, and eventually to bolt into seeds. And that's how the other ones went into seeds, and then we harvested from there. So for this one, they're going to take a little while before they go into that. But if we want them to go into seed very soon, we're going to take it up front there where they can receive a lot of sun in summer, so they can bolt also and produce seeds for us. So in the meantime, for now, they are not going to bolt into seeds yet so fast because it's winter. Right, now let's get into planting. So what we have learned how you can do that through the seeds. All right, you can grow the seeds, and if you don't have the seeds now but you have the plant, all right, let me quickly show you something. So you can actually see here, right? So you see there on the stem, it is actually growing some shoots. Right, so these shoots, they're not so big yet to cut. So for now, we are not gonna cut it, but I'm gonna explain to you how you're gonna, plant them and remove them. You can actually see even here, there's another shoot. You can actually see this one. It's another shoot that is coming, right? So we're gonna allow it to grow a little bit, 2 or 3 leaves, and then we're gonna snip it up from here, and without damaging it. You can see the other leaf is coming out, and then we're gonna put it somewhere, and then we're gonna put it in another pot like what we did with the rosemary. So many of these, they are already having shoots. They're showing the shoots, but they're still not yet ready because we pruned them and we took some of the shoots and then we grow them somewhere, right? So you can actually see here, this is now a bigger plant. This one is about to go into the final stage of its life. Yeah, it's also not so healthy because it's a little bit sickly. Yeah, but we can still make use of this. Now, okay, let me give you here where there's a little bit bigger of the stem. So you can actually see here we have this one, right, which is a little bit bigger. So we're gonna snap it from there, right? Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. So you see already it's having a little bit of root. Okay, so you can see it having a little bit of root, and so we're gonna put this into a smaller pot like what we did with rosemary, and then we're gonna remove this lower part of the roots just to cut, of the stem, and just to leave almost few leaves in the center, and then we're gonna put it in the pot. Okay, so you can actually see there's another one that we can snap out. Okay, there we go. So you can actually see, and that's how I grew the other plant, which I show you that it came from, from the shoot like this one. So it was like this, and then we just put it there. Okay, so you can actually see the plant itself is getting old, but it's having some little babies beside, which we can snap out. Okay, there. Wow, this one looks nice and healthy. Okay, this one is looking healthy, very good, because it's having a lot of roots. Okay, so what we're gonna be doing now, or what you would do, is you snap out this lower part. Okay, we remove this. Okay, and just leave, yeah, I think this is fine. So this is what we're gonna leave. So this one, we throw them, they are not so healthy to eat. Yeah, so we're gonna throw them there, and then you see this. So this is how now it looks. Then we're gonna put this into the ground, and so this is how we grow this one. So this is how this came about. You can see how healthy this one looks like. So we only took something like this. Okay, and then now the other thing I want to emphasize is, how do you know that your celery is going to be going into seed? Now you see here on the stage, let me quickly show you. Let me just put this away. Here on the stage, you see the green fresh branches coming off. So when it is about to go to seed, it will not shoot as it is. You will just see one column like this on the center. Instead of having many leaves coming from the center, it will have one column, like one stem on the center. It will start growing up. Then it will show you that it's no longer going to produce any shoots or any green leaves going on the side, but rather it will just produce one thing. This is where the seeds will come from, right? So unfortunately here I don't have one that is almost going to that stage. Yeah, like for the reason I've said, they don't get enough sun, and we still want to eat some of them. So yeah, we are not going to expose them to the sun for now, until when we want them to get to seeds, then we can expose them to the sun, right, to plenty of sun, then they can go into seeds. Okay, right, so this is now your plant, right, the one that we actually got, and then we're gonna put it in here. All right, I don't have anything in here. Okay, so this is what we're gonna be doing. Okay, so there's nothing in here, so we will put it here. We don't make it too deep, just enough, because remember it's not that long, so we just need to make sure the roots, they are covered. Yeah, so for now what will happen is this bigger leaf, eventually they will dry out, and the new shoot at the center, it will continue to come up. So we will continue just to water and making sure that it's well watered, and then after 1 or 2 weeks it will be good to go, right? So that's how you do your celery. And like I showed you also on the the parsley, I mean on the rosemary. So that's how you do it, and that's how you do it with the rest of your plant. So yeah, we're gonna put this later on. For now, at least you've seen what we can do with that. Right, so what you do from here, go and try and do your own. Other people, they've actually seen this and they've actually tried it, and other people, they are doing their own garden. Like for example, I'm gonna show you a quick video of my neighbor's garden right now, what she's managed to do. Right, all right. Okay, what you see now, this is my neighbor Mary's garden. You can actually see it looking very nice. You see it's yeah, so you can see it's looking very nice. This is actually one tomato. Imagine one tomato. There are more than 30 tomatoes on this plant, right? You can actually see how beautiful it looks. And you can see this is a garden. This is amaranthus. That's very interesting. You can actually see that this is already going to seed. This is also edible. Amaranthus is actually makes a good vegetable, right? And you can see this is mustard spinach and also the dandelion that she has. Of course, they were attacked. Some of the vegetables, they were attacked. The rib, they were attacked by the aphids, but she sprayed them now. Most of them, the insects, they are dead. So you can see now they are starting to shoot nice leaves and all that. So she treated them. So, and the simple method that she used is a simple method that I've been sharing with others, which is a simple, homemade, recipe, your pesticide that you can make from cayenne pepper and many other things, and then you spray on it. So you can actually see that we have no excuse of not growing and learning to do this simple agriculture thing. Now the reason behind this is that you start little, and this will help you to get the skills that we need for countryside when the time comes. Because if we start practicing now and being able to to learn these new skills, we'll be able to live that time. So we don't start from the scratch when we get there. So in other words, it means by the time when you get to countryside, you have already learned that skills. This is what we need. We need to be able to learn this. So now let me quickly show you the last part, which is my garden, which I showed you some time back, and how the tomatoes are doing. This is still my neighbor's garden, and let me get to mine, and then you can see how we've been doing with the pot planting. Okay, these are my tomatoes. So far they are not ripe yet, but they are almost getting there. So you can actually see they also have a lot of tomatoes with them. Yeah, and soon we hope and look forward to harvesting some of this, right? And you can see down there. And also I see we've actually made a progress on the eggplant. This is the first time I'm growing this type of eggplant. I have not grown it before. Yeah, you can actually see now they are big, much bigger, right? These are all grown in pots, right? You can actually see on this one there are how many? 2, 4, 5 eggplant, right? And behind that we have the tomatoes, and then here we have more of the eggplants again. So we can actually see that we have made progress. And yeah, this is the skills that we need, and we hope you've learned something. For now, it's bye bye.